Welcome back. Hope all of you are doing good. So in my previous video, we have started discussing about this chapter 2.1, which talks about supply. So there we have started covering section 7, which talks about again meaning and scope of supply. So we have covered section 7, subsection 1 in detail, which is 71A, 71AA and 71B as well as 71C. All this sections talks about whether an activity or transaction is it a supply. Once we decide whether an activity or a transaction is a supply, next what should we do, guys? We need to decide whether it is a supply of goods or supply of services, because different rates are applicable for goods, different rates are applicable for services. So it is necessary for us to also distinguish or to categorize whether the supply is supply of goods, whether it is a supply of services. How to identify it is given in schedule 2. So let us go to the next section, that is section 7 subsection 1 capital A, where certain activities or transaction constitute a supply in accordance with the provisions of subsection 1, they shall be treated either as supply of goods or supply of services as referred to in schedule 2. So section 7.1a is giving reference to what? Schedule 2. In schedule 2, they have identified different transaction and they have told, okay, whether it is a supply of goods or whether it is a supply of services. So section 7.1 capital A has to be read with what? Schedule 2, guys. Schedule 2. Let us go for it. So let me read it. Activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Section 7.1a read with schedule 2 of CGST Act 2017. Section 7.1a of CGST Act classifies certain activities or transaction constituting supply. Either, okay, it is also a supply, it is already a supply. As per 7.1, first we need to check whether it is a supply. Then we will identify whether it is a supply of goods or services. If something is not supply, we will not come to schedule 2 only, because schedule 2 is talking about an activity which is a supply. Whether it is a supply or service, supply of goods or supply of services is told in schedule 2. If something is not supply, don't come to schedule 2 itself, because if something is not supply, it cannot be identified whether it is a goods or services, are not required at all. Clear? Yes. Either as supply of goods or supply of services. Schedule 2 to CGST Act contains the list of activities or transaction which have been classified either as supply of goods or supply of services, which are as follows. So here the list of activities has been given, whether they are supply of goods or supply of services. That is also have been categorized. Clear? And this list is not the end list, guys. Clear? The list, whatever is given, or the transactions, whatever is given in schedule 2 is where like the people may get confused. So that is why the clarity is being given in schedule 2. But this is not the end list, as I already told you. Clear? So as it is given in schedule 2, I have put it here. We'll just go through the transaction. Very easy. This is very easy. Let us go through it one by one, guys. The first one is transfer. Under that, there are 3 categories. What are those? Transfer of title in the goods. So if the title itself is transferred, that means title means what? Ownership, risk, reward, everything is transferred to the recipient. In that case, it is a supply of goods, guys. It is a supply of goods. Okay, sir. Example. For each and everything, I have given an example so that you will have a proper clarity. Shivaji sells ready-made garments to its customer. So it is sold. Sold means what? Ownership is transferred. Title is transferred. Yes, it is a supply of goods. Next. Any transfer of right, not title, right in the goods or undivided share in the goods without the transfer of title in the goods. Only right is given, not the title. In that case, it is a supply of services, because right is given to use for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. For example, renting, leasing, all those things are covered here. Example, Genius Equipment Limited gives a machinery on rent. So when I am giving something, my own asset to you for a rent, what does it mean? Am I selling it? No, only a right is given for a particular period. 2. Suhasi manufacturers. Okay, next one. Any transfer of title again in goods under an agreement which stipulates that property shall pass at a future date upon payment of full consideration as agreed is again a transfer of supply of goods. Sir, what is this? Best example is this EMI purchase, IR purchase, guys. So assume I have purchased a vehicle on installment basis or on a EMI basis. So I would have received the possession of the vehicle, but I will get the ownership of the vehicle only when I pay the last installment. Agree? This is how the hire purchase or installment works. Agree? Only when I pay the last installment, the ownership will be transferred. So in that case, when I have purchased a vehicle at the first instance, when I get the possession, have I got the title? No. Title I would be getting it in the future, but still it is a supply of goods only. Title I might be receiving on a future date, but still not a problem. It is still a supply of goods, guys. Clear? Yes. Example. Dhruva Capital supplied goods on hire purchase basis to a customer. Or Optima manufacturer supplies toys to a retailer on sale or return basis. Sale or return basis means I have sent a goods to you. If you wish, if you are satisfied, keep it. It will be a sale for me, or else send it back to me. If you are not satisfied, you will send it back to me. That is like goods sent on sale or return basis, we call it as. Clear? So when there will be a sale, only when the goods are accepted by the recipient. Okay, next category is land and building. Just a second. Yeah. Next category is land and building. Any lease, tenancy, easement, license to occupy land means again I am giving a right of the land. I'm not selling the land. I'm just giving the right of the land. So in that case, supply of services. Next, any lease or letting out of building, including a commercial, industrial, or residential complex for business or commerce, wholly or partly. Means if any building is let out for the purpose of business, it is again supply of services, guys. Clear? See, please be very careful. In the goods definition, they have covered only movable property. So goods does not include immovable property, which is land and building. Clear? But here they are very clearly told, not the sale. If there is any building or land which is let out, then it is a supply of services, not goods. Okay. And building is let out for what? Business or commerce purpose. Sir, what if the building is let out for residential purpose? It is exempt under GST. It is not taxable, means exemption is been given as per section 11. We will be learning it. I'm just mentioning that point here because I have underlined clearly. If the building is let out only for business or commercial purpose, it will be a supply of services. If it is let out for residential purpose, it is not taxable because it is exempt. Clear? Now, sir, what if residential building is let out for commercial purpose? Still, it is a supply of service. GST is levied on it. The purpose is important. Clear? If the building is let out for residential purpose, no GST. If building is let out for business or commercial purpose, GST is applicable. It is a supply of service. Clear? Yes, sir. Example, leasing of shop in a multiplex or renting of commercial properties, etc. is always supply of services. Both this are supply of services, guys. Okay, next item. Treatment or process. So a person is giving some treatment or process for someone else's goods. For example, tailor is stitching the cloth of someone else. So what is the thing he is providing? He is just giving the service. Then job worker, we call him as job worker. Assume I have gone and given my shirt and dress for an iron. So that iron person will iron my dress and give it back. So is it a sale of goods? No. My own dress is giving it back by doing some work or by doing some process. So what do we call it as? Supply of services. Yeah. Or let me give one more example. Assume I took my bike for a service and I asked the person to do some activities or repair work. In that case, he will do the repair work and give your bike return. So give it back to you. So is it a supply of goods? No, sir. He is giving your own bike back to you. So in that case, whatever work he has done, he will charge for it. So what is it? Supply of service. Any treatment or process which is applied to another person's goods. So it is always a supply of services. Example, Damani Dyeing House dyes the clothes given by Shubham Textiles Limited on a job work basis. Job work basis means you are doing work on someone else's goods. Next, coming to transfer of business assets. Next category is transfer of business assets. Under this, there are various. We will see one by one. This is important. Please pay attention. Goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed of, whether or not for a consideration. That means business assets are transferred. If it is transferred for a consideration, it will be a supply as per 7(1)(a). And what is it? Supply of goods. Sir, what if it is transferred without consideration? Then check whether ITC is claimed. Yes, if it is claimed, then it will be a supply as per para 1 of schedule 1. Yes. Clear? Yes, sir. And what is it? Is it a supply of goods or services? It is always a supply of goods, because definitely title will be transferred. Clear? Yes, sir. This is important. Goods held or used for business are put to private use. So business assets are put to private use. For example, I am the owner of the business. I had purchased some assets for business purpose. Now I am using it for my personal purpose. That is for my family members or my children are using it. So in that case, business assets are put to use for private use. So what is it? Supply of services. Very important. Clear? So are made available to any person for use for any purpose other than business, by or under the direction of a person carrying on the business. Simple. Business assets put to use for private purpose. It is supply of services. That one tricky thing. Next. Goods forming part of assets of any business carried on by a person who ceases to be a taxable person shall be deemed to be supplied by him in the course or furtherance of business immediately before he ceases to be a taxable person. So ceases to be a taxable person means you're closing down your business. You're closing down your business, or your registration is cancelled. You are cancelling your registration. So in that case, whatever assets or goods you are having is deemed to be supplied. Okay, even though you are not supplied, still it is deemed to be supplied, and it is a supply of goods, guys. So please be very careful. What they are talking here is about closing down of business, not the transfer of business. For example, sir, I have sold my business to other person. So in that case, it will be carried on by the successor. So it is not a closure of business. In that case, there will not be a supply. Yeah. Exceptions. There are two exceptions. Business is transferred as a going concern to another person. So it is not a supply. Next, business is carried on by a personal representative who is deemed to be a taxable person. Clear? So in the following two cases, there is no supply. So that means very clearly they are trying to tell only when the business is seized or closed, then only it is a supply of goods. Whatever assets you are having at the time of closing the business is deemed to be supplied, guys. Example, Arun, a trader, is winding up his business. Any goods left in his stock shall be deemed to be supplied by him. He is closing down the business. So whatever stock he is having is deemed to be supplied, guys, on the date of closure. Yeah. Next. Immovable property. Renting of any immovable property, whether it is a land, building, or anything which is attached to the land, it is always services. It is always services. Next. Construction or sale. This has to be read with schedule 3. Schedule, you can just mention it. Schedule 3. This part. Construction of a complex building, civil structure, or a part thereof, including a complex or building intended for sale to a buyer, wholly or partly, except, okay, means you have constructed a building which is sold for a buyer, fine, except where the entire consideration has been received after the issuance of completion certificate where required by the competent authority or after its first occupation, whichever is earlier. Means if the entire consideration is received after the construction is completed, then it is a means it is not a supply. Clear? So in simple, what they are trying to tell here is if a pre-construction building is sold, it is a supply of service. It is a supply of service because goods does not include immovable property. So they are trying to include it in the services, guys. Very intelligent move. Clear? Let me give an example and deep explanation because this has to be ready with schedule 3 also, guys. So please take down a chart in your notebook, open your notebook and take down the chart. So this building acts connection with both two schedules, schedule 2 as well as schedule 3, guys. So please draw a chart. Right on the top, sale of building, sale of building, building is sold under two categories. There are two scenarios here: pre-construction building and post-construction building. Post-construction building. Pre-construction means before the construction is completed. Post-construction means once the construction is completed. Clear? Yes. Sure. Under this you take down. Under this you take down. Under pre-construction, please take down. It is a supply of services. It is the supply of services as per schedule 2. As per schedule 2. Clear? Fine. Yeah. Come to the post construction part. Under this you write one sentence: entire consideration is received after the construction is completed. Entire consideration is received after the construction is completed. Clear? Below that you write, means you can just put an arrow mark and write. I will repeat the sentence. Entire consideration is received after the construction is completed. Under that you write, it is not a supply here itself. Under post construction itself you have to write, it is not a supply as per schedule 3. It is not a supply as per schedule 3. Schedule 3. 3 has to be written like this. Schedule 3. In bracket you mention negative list. Negative list. Negative list. Clear? So what is this? See, clarity, because on this both the things are scheduled are covered, guys. Please pay attention. If a building is sold before the construction is completed, it is a supply. Supply of what? Services. Is GST levied on it? Yes. GST is levied on it. Next. Sir, what if the building is sold after the construction is completed? Means entire consideration, means entire sale value is received after the construction is completed. Clear? In that case, means assume I am selling the building for 100 crore. Sorry, 1 crore. Let me take 1 crore. So 1 crore. Entire 1 crore, if it is received after the construction is completed, it is told that post-construction building. Clear? In that case, no GST is levied because it is covered in negative list. Negative list, which we will be learning. That is schedule 3. Next, we will be learning it. Clear? So when it is told as pre-construction building, means before the construction is completed, if you have received any money, or part of the money, in that case, it will be told that a pre-construction building is sold and in that case GST is levied on the same. Okay, this is what is happening, especially with respect to apartments and all, guys, or flats and all. You can book a pre-constructed building, means which is still under the construction. So in that case you would have paid some advance, agreed to book a flat. In that case, is it a supply of service? Is it a supply? Yes, it is a supply of service, guys. Clear? Yes, construction service. Next, below this, both put together. Okay, here you can take a note for both. Okay, below this chart, you can take a note. A building is said to be constructed a building is said to be constructed on the earlier of the following dates. On the earlier of the following dates. Two dates are there. A building is said to be constructed, means when the construction is completed. We should have a particular date. That date I am giving you. A building is said to be constructed on the earlier of the following dates. First date. Date of obtaining a completion certificate. Point A. Date of obtaining a completion certificate. Date of obtaining a completion certificate. Or second, B. Date of obtaining completion certificate, or B. Date of first occupation. Date of first occupation. Occupation means date of occupying the property for the first time. Yeah, let me give an example. Assume, guys, I have constructed a building. I have obtained a completion certificate, means from a government authority. I should take a completion certificate that my property is ready to occupy. Assume on 10th May 22, I have obtained completion certificate. Okay. My property is first occupied by the buyer on, assume 10th July. 10th July. Which is the earlier date? 10th May 22. Okay. On this day, the construction is said to be completed. The building is said to be completed. In that case, so check whether any consideration is received before 10th May. If yes, that means pre-construction building is sold, GST is applicable. If the entire consideration is received after 10th May, that means post-construction building is sold, no GST is levied because it is covered under negative list. Hope it is clear for you guys. Sure. So example I have given here for the building part. Building. Example. Rathi Builders has constructed a individual residential units for an agreed consideration of 1.2 crore per unit. So sale value is 1.2 crore. 90 lakh per unit were received before the issuance of completion certificate by the competent authority and balance after completion. So a part of the consideration is received before the construction is completed, guys. So what is it? Pre-construction building. So the term construction includes additions, alterations, replacement and remodeling of any existing civil structure. Fine. So is it a supply? Yes. Supply of what? Supply of services, guys. Why? A part of the consideration is received before the construction is completed. May not be full, but still a part of the consideration is received. Sir, what if the entire 1.2 crore was received after the construction is completed? Then it would have been covered in the negative list. It was not at all a supply. Clear? Yes. Next, the expression competent authority means the government or any authority authorized to issue completion certificate under any law for the time being in force. I told you when the construction is supposed to be completed, earlier of two dates. One of the date is date of obtaining the completion certificate. From whom should you obtain the completion certificate? Not from your friend who is an architect. It should be from government authority, guys. government authority. Sir, one of my friend has done civil engineering. Let me obtain a completion certificate from him? No, you cannot do that. Next, intellectual property right, like patent right, copyright, trademark, anything. Temporary transfer or permitting use or enjoyment of intellectual property right. You are not selling it, you are transferring only the right. In that case, it is a supply of services. Example, temporary transfer of patent, trademark, copyright, anything, guys. Next, information technology software. Development, design, programming, customization, adaptation, upgradation, enhancement, implementation of IT software. So if you're developing any IT software, it is always supply of services. Example, Suvidha Solutions develops an accounting software for a business. So it is a supply of service. Next, action. Action. See, there are three things involved here. Sir, I have agreed to do something. So what is it? Supply of services. Sir, I have agreed not to do something. I have agreed with my principal that I will not practice in such a way that it will compete his business. So what is it? I am receiving non-compete fee for it. So what is it? I have agreed not to do something. So again, it is a supply of services. So sir, I have agreed to tolerate something. I have agreed to tolerate my wife. So my father-in-law is paying something for me. So what is it? Supply of services. Clear? So assume I have supplied goods to you for 1 lakh. I have told you, if you delay the payment, I will be charging a interest for you. So you have delayed the payment by 10 days. So I am charging interest for you. Why? I am tolerating you. Why am I tolerating you? Because you have delayed the payment and I am adjusting for it. I am tolerating it. So it is all supply of services. Yeah. What is it? Agreeing to an obligation to refrain from an act that is not to do something, or to tolerate an act to tolerate you or your torture or situation, or to do an act. So in simple, if you have agreed to do something, if you have agreed not to do something, or if you have agreed to tolerate something, all this is supply of services, guys. Example, cable operator Sakharam has entered into an agreement with cable operator Atmaram that Sakharam will not provide cable connections in the specified areas where Atmaram is providing the connections. So they are having some non-compete agreements and it is supply of services. Next, late delivery charges recovered from the supplier for non-fulfillment of contract within stipulated time. So is tolerating your delay. So is charging late delivery charges. So what is it? Supply of services. Last one, notice pay recovered from an employee for leaving the job before the agreed period of notice for leaving a job. So normally if an employee want to leave a job, he has to give a notice and he has to serve the notice period of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, depends upon the employment terms. So you want to leave the company immediately. So you don't even want to serve the notice period. In that case, some amount will be charged by the company for you. So they, because they are tolerating your indiscipline against the company. In that case, what do we call it as? Supply of services. Yeah. Next, right to use goods. We already discussed this. Transfer of right to use any goods for any purpose is always supply of services. Example, machinery given on hire or rent. Next, composite supply. This was one of the complicated thing under previous indirect tax regime, guys. But under GST, they have made it very simple. What is it? Works contract services is always supply of services, and supply by way of or as a part of any service or in any other manner whatsoever of goods being food or any other article for human consumption or any drink is a supply of services. See, this two supply is there now. Under previous indirect tax regime, it was very confusing. Why? I will give you an example. Works contract services. Assume, guys, I have given a works contract services for you to construct a house for me and give it to me. I will pay 1 crore for you. So tell me, is it a good supply of goods or supply of services? Should service tax be levied on it or should VAT be levied on it? Because there was a confusion. Because when I have given a construction service for you or works contract service for you, you will use different types of raw materials like bricks, sand, cement, steel, everything to construct the building. Plus, your service also will be there. So it is a combination of both goods as well as services. But for both put together, I am paying 1 crore for you. So there was a confusion like, should service tax be levied on this or should the VAT be levied on it? Clear? If there is a breakup, yes, for goods separately VAT will be levied. If for service, separately service tax would have been levied. So there was a confusion. If the one single price is charged for both, should we charge VAT? Should we charge service tax? But under GST, they have clearly told supply of services. So accordingly, we can decide what rate should be applied. Same way for restaurant services, guys. Now assume you walk into any AC restaurant, you book a meal and take it, you have it. So they charge two things, one for food, one for that convenience. That is whatever AC, whatever thing you are enjoying there, facilities you are enjoying there. That is supply, service, everything. So there are two things there. One is service, one is the goods, which is food items. So in that case, under the previous indirect tax regime, again confusion, whether to levy service tax on this, whether to levy VAT on it. Clear? If separately amount is disclosed in the bill, yes, on service part, service tax will be levied. For meal part, VAT will be levied. But if single price is charged, it will be confusing. It was confusing. But under GST, they have told restaurant service is always supply of service. Even though a meal or any other items, which is still a goods, but entire service is considered as supply of service, including food items, guys. Clear? Yes, sir. This is all about schedule 2, guys. So 7.1a we are done with. So 7.1a will just categorize whether the supply is supply of goods or supply of services. Okay, sir. Next, coming to subsection 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 means it overrides subsection 1, guys. So what subsection 2 is telling is the following items is not at all a supply. That means no GST will be levied. So whatever is covered in subsection 2, even though it is a supply as per subsection 1, still it is not a supply as per 7.2. That means on the following items, GST will not be levied. Clear? So which are those? One by one. A. Activities or transactions specified in Schedule 3. We call it as negative list. There are several activities which are covered in Schedule 3, which is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. That means it is not at all a supply. Clear? Okay. Next, one more clause is here. Such activities or transactions which are undertaken by central government, a state government, or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities. Means if government is giving any services to the public as public authorities, as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of council, even those shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor supply of services. So whatever is covered in section 7, subsection 2, clause A and B is neither supply of goods or supply of services. Clear? One services government has notified here as per B. What is it? Central government has notified that the activity or transaction by way of grant of alcoholic liquor license against consideration in the form of license fee or application fee by whatever name it is called, undertaken by the state government shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor supply of services. So what government means, as per clause B, central government has notified. See, if any person want to do the business of alcoholic liquor for human consumption, he has to obtain a license from state government. So state government will issue a license against a license fee. So the central government notified that this is not a supply. It means whatever license the state government is issuing to the person who want to do the liquor business, it is not a supply. So the whatever license fee the government is charging is GST free. Means GST is not levied on it, guys. Clear? But only this service, that is grant of alcoholic liquor license. There are other type of licenses also, licenses which are issued by the government, like license for extraction of natural resources, license for mining and all. those things are taxable. It means they are not excluded here. Please be very careful. Only the grant of alcoholic liquor license are covered here. So please be very clear with it. Fine. So this is as per class B. What about the clause A? Clause A is giving reference to schedule 3. Means whatever activities are covered in schedule 3, they are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. In simple, they are not at all a supply. Clear? So now what should we do? We need to go to schedule 3 and learn what are those activities. Chalo, we shall go to schedule 3 now. Yes, come to this point. We also call it as negative list. Yes, guys. Negative list. This is after schedule 2. Schedule 1, 2, 3, I have given it in the order. Negative list under GST. Section 7, subsection 2, read with schedule 3. Activities or transactions specified under schedule 3 in the CGST Act. Activities specified under schedule 3 can be termed as negative list under the GST regime. We call it as negative list. Which are those? One by one. I will just put a number. Numbers are missing. Yes, totally 8 are there. First one, services by an employee to the employer in the course of or in the relation to his employment. We call it as employment service. So any services provided by employee to his employer under employment is always covered under negative list. So whatever employee gives the services, employer will pay salary for it. So is it covered under GST? No. But what is covered in para 2 is different, guys. Employer-employee relation, they are related. If employer is giving any gift to the employee, up to 50,000 not taxable. But if it is more than that, it is taxable. But what they are talking about here is employee is giving employment services to employer. Is it liable for GST? No. It is not covered under GST. Fine. Next. Services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. Court includes district court, high court and supreme court. So any services given by the court, whether it is district court, high court, supreme court or even consumer redressal forums, it is not covered under GST, guys. It is tax free. Next, 3 things are covered here. Functions performed by members of parliament, members of state legislature, members of panchayats, members of municipalities and members of other local authorities. In simple, this MP, MLA and all is there for your respective legislation, agree, locality. So, and members of panchayat, municipality and all. So, very rare, but still, if they give any services, is it taxable? No, it is completely tax free under GST. Okay, next one. Duties performed by any person who holds any post in pursuance of provisions of the Constitution in that capacity. So that means any duties performed by any person who holds any post in pursuance of provisions of Constitution. Examples: duties performed by President of India, Vice President of India, Prime Minister of India or Chief Justice of India, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Chief Election Commissioner, Controller and Auditor General of India in that capacity. So all these people are holding a post in pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution. So any services given by them, GST is not applicable on it. Next, C. Duties performed by any person as a chairperson or a member or a director in a body established by a central government or a state government or a local authority and who is not deemed to as an employee before a commencement of this clause. So any person who has been performing a duty as chairperson, member of a director of any body which is established by central or state government or any local authority who is not an employee. If he is an employee, he is covered in this point only. Agree? Who is not an employee will be, means whatever services he is giving is covered in third point. Example, CBDT is a body established by central government. chairman or member or a director who are not employees of this body shall be out of GST. Same way, GST council. So vice chairperson, members of GST council, whatever service they are giving is covered under negative list. Then coming to the fourth one, services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary including transportation of the deceased. So already a person has gone, his family members is already in the feelings. So now whatever services are given for last rituals of the person, if you're asking them to pay GST on that also, they will feel very bad about the government. So that is why they were kept this also under negative list. That is, at the time of last rituals, any services given in the form of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary, including transportation, is completely covered under negative list, on which GST is not applicable. Fifth one, sale of land. Okay, sale of land is always covered under negative list. If land is let out, it is a supply of services. But if a land is sold, it is covered under negative list. Okay. Then subject to paragraph B schedule 2, sale of building. That means which building? Constructed building, guys. Okay, I had made you guys to write the chart, na? So building is having connection with schedule 2 and schedule 3. If a constructed building is sold, it is covered under negative list. If a pre-construction building is sold, it is a supply of services as per schedule 2. Clear? Yes, sir. Please be careful with that. Next, sixth item, that is actionable claims. Actionable claim is a goods. Yes, sir. But it is covered under negative list. Other than lottery, betting, gambling. So actionable claim is a goods, but it is covered in the negative list. But 3 actionable claim is not covered in the negative list. Which are those? Lottery, betting, gambling. Means on these 3 items, GST is applicable. There 3 are actionable claims, but GST is applicable on them. Note, lottery, betting and gambling are subject to GST, guys. Clear? Yes. Next, 7th one. Supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory to another place in non-taxable territory without such goods entering into India. Non-taxable territory means outside India. For GST purpose, taxable territory means India including Jammu and Kashmir. Clear? So there is a supply of goods from USA to UK or from Pakistan to China or China to Pakistan. So nowhere related to India. So in that case, it is covered under negative list. Means the supply is taking place from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory. That is from one foreign country to another foreign country. In simple, outside India, guys. Okay. Last one. Supply of warehoused goods to any person before clearance for home consumption. See, when the goods are imported into India, you need to pay customs duty plus IGST. You have stored the goods in the warehouse. So goods will be released or cleared from the warehouse only when you pay the customs duty. So before the goods are cleared for home consumption from the warehouse, you have sold the goods to the other party. That is, you have done a documentation. The possession of the goods is not given, but you have just transferred the title of the goods by way of documentation. Can it happen? Yes, but on that GST is not levied. I repeat, so this is the item which is covered under customs. I would be explaining there also. You have imported some goods. You have stored these goods in the warehouse. The goods are not cleared for home consumption. Means cleared for home consumption means only when you pay the duty, whatever taxes you are supposed to pay, it will be cleared. Means you can take the goods to your place. So goods are still stored in the warehouse. It is not cleared for home consumption. When the goods are in the warehouse only, you have found the buyer and you have sold it. Documentation is done. In that case, will GST be applied on it or levied on it? No, it will not be levied. Note, supply of goods lying in a customs bonded warehouse has been treated as neither supply of goods nor supply of services. However, IGST shall continue to be leviable at the time of clearance of goods from the warehouse for home consumption. Means whenever you are importing the goods, customs duty plus IGST would be levied, guys. Because it is treated as interstate supply, IGST would be levied. With respect to calculation and all, we will learn it in the customs part after GST. Yeah? Yes. Example, one example is given. As per, that is just to connect the employee part. As per Schedule 3, the services by an employee to an employer are not chargeable to GST, and the gifts made by the employer to employee up to 50,000 in any financial year shall not be treated as supply. However, if more than 50,000, it shall be subject to GST, and 50,000 is per year limit, per year per employee. If it is more than 50,000, entire amount is charged. Clear? This is given in para 2 of Schedule 1, guys. That is gift by employer to employee. And what is covered here is the services given by employee to the employer. That is employment service. Clear? Yes, sir. So this is all about the negative list. So before learning what is taxable under GST, what is necessary for us to understand is what is not taxable under GST, which is talking about negative list. So first, if I understand what is not taxable, it will be easy for me to decide whether the other things are taxable or not. Yeah. As a child, what is the first thing we will learn, guys? Alphabets. Agree? So I have a shortcut for you to remember this negative list. Means what all items are covered. Totally 8 items are covered here. So what is the shortcut? Let me give it here. Learn A, B, C, D. Learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Sir, what each thing stands for? Learn starts from L. That means land. Let me take land. So sale of land is covered under negative list. Okay. Then A for actionable claims. Actionable claims. Yes, sir. Then B is burial services. Burial services. Then C, court services. That is court services provided by court. Then D for duties performed by various parties. Agree? That is third point. Duties performed by various persons. Then E is employment service. Employment service. Then F is foreign to foreign supply. So this one, non-taxable territory to non-taxable territory means what? Foreign to foreign. Agree? F is here. Then the last one, GH. That is goods have been supplied before cleared for home consumption. Goods has been sold before it is cleared for home consumption. So hope it is easy for you to remember the list. Yeah, it will be easy for you to remember the list with this shortcut. Fine, guys. Let me move ahead. Yes, sir. So this is all about Schedule 3, guys. Get back. Okay. Subsection 2 also we have finished. Subsection 2 also we have finished, which tells the following items are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Last subsection, subsection 3. So here subsection 3 is giving the power to whom? Government, to tell this activity is not a supply of goods, it is a supply of services. Or it can tell the following activity is a supply of services but not a supply of goods. So they have that power. Who? Government. So what is that? Subject to provisions of subsection 1, 1A and 2, the government may, on the recommendation of the council, specify by notification the transactions that are treated as supply of goods and not as supply of services, or supply of services and not supply of goods. That means they just have a right to give clarity with respect to any transaction. Clear, guys? Yes, sir. So section 7 in detail we have learned, guys. In detail we have learned along with schedules. Section 7 has to be read with 3 schedules. Schedule 1, 2 and 3. Clear? And all this is very much important. You need to remember because this is the basic of our GST, guys. This is where our base is there. So this will again have an interconnection with other topics as well. So it's very important for you guys to know this very well. Fine. So there are 2 clarification also given. We'll just go through it. Clarification. Yeah. Come to this point after schedule 3. 2 clarifications I have given you. come to this. After schedule 3, guys. Fine. Chalo, let me read. Levy of GST on the service of display of name or placing of nameplates of the donor in the premises of charitable organization receiving donation or gifts from individual donors. Sir, what is this? See, this is just a clarification, not a separate provision. See, assume I have given a donation to any temple or charitable institution. What? Assume I have donated a clock or I have donated a board, entry board. So in the bottom you can see wherever, whenever you go to temple, church, mosque and all, you would have seen if something is contributed by any person, they would have disclosed their name also. Assume I have contributed a wall clock for a temple, and in the bottom of that wall clock, contributed by or donated by Vikas B is given. So is it a supply? No, because it is supplied something free of cost. So none of the para is covered. Para 1, 2, 3, 4 is not applicable. It is purely free of cost. So charitable activity. So no supply. There is no supply, no GST. Okay. But assume on the same clock, there I have given at the end contributed by CA Vikas and Associates. CA Vikas and Associates. That means I am trying to advertise my business on that wall clock, which is contributed by me. So in that case, there is a consideration. There is a consideration. Consideration might not be in money terms, but I'm getting some advertisement. I have not done something free of cost. So in this case, I have an intention to advertise my business in a temple. So it is considered as supply and GST will be levied on it, guys. Yeah, if only a name is disclosed, fine. But if there is anything which will advertise my business, in that case, it will be a supply. Yeah, sure. That is what the clarification given here. Individual donors provide financial help or any other support in the form of donation or gift to institutions such as religious institutions, charitable organizations, school, hospitals, orphanages, old age home, etc. The recipient institutions place the nameplate or similar such acknowledgement in their premises to express the gratitude. When the name of the donor is displayed in the recipient institution premises in such a manner which can be said to an expression of gratitude and public recognition of a donor's act of philanthropy, and it is not aimed at giving publicity to the donor in such manner that it would be an advertising or promotion of his business, then it can be said there is no supply of service for a consideration. Means there should not be any advertising or promotion of his business. In that case, there is no supply. There is no obligation, that is quid pro quo, on part of the recipient of the donation or gift to do anything, that is supply a service. Therefore, there is no GST liability on such consideration. Examples, I have given some example here. Some examples of cases where there would be no taxable supply are as follows. Means in the following cases, there is no supply. Good wishes from Mr. Rajesh, printed underneath a digital blackboard donated by Mr. Rajesh to a charitable yoga institution. So Rajesh has donated a blackboard to a yoga institution. So only good wishes from Rajesh is given. So no advertising, no promotion for his business. It is not a supply. Next. Donated by Mr. Srimati Malati Devi in the memory of her father, written on the door or floor of a room or any part of a temple complex which was constructed from such donation. Again, it is not a supply because there is no advertisement or promotion of any business here. Next. In each of these examples, it may be noticed that there is no reference or mention of any business activity of the donor, that is the person who has given the donation, which otherwise would have got advertised. Thus, where all the three conditions are satisfied, namely, the gift or donation is made to a charitable organization, the payment has the character of gift or donation, and the purpose is philanthropic. That is, it leads to no commercial gain. There is no commercial gain, and not advertisement, GST is not leviable. So if the following three conditions are satisfied, there is no supply and there is no GST. Leave it. Clear? One more clarification. Artworks sent by artists to galleries for exhibition is not a supply, as no consideration flows from the gallery to the artist. Sir, what is it? Artist, circular number and all you need not remember, circular number, date and all. Artists give their work of art to galleries where it is exhibited for a supply. However, no consideration flows from the gallery to the artist when the artworks are sent to the gallery for exhibition, and therefore the same is not a supply. It is only when a buyer selects a particular artwork displayed at a gallery that the actual supply takes place and applicable GST would be payable at the time of such supply. Clear? Means when the goods are sent by the artist to the exhibition or to a gallery to exhibit their goods in the exhibition, in that case, is it a supply? No. If any customer buy that products or goods in the exhibition, then it will be a supply. Clear? Yes. Note, any transaction involving supply of goods and or services without consideration is not a supply unless it is deemed to be a supply under Schedule 1, guys. Clear? There is only 4 deemed supply. Even without consideration, these 4 activities are treated as supply. Which are those? Para 1, 2, 3, 4 as per Schedule 1. If there is any cases which is not covered in Para 1, 2, 3, 4 where there is no consideration, it is not supply always. It is not a supply. So whenever there is no consideration, check whether that activity is falling in Para 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is not falling in any of the para, then it is not a supply at all. That means no GST. Clear, guys? Yes. So this is all about section 7 read with schedule 1, 2, 3. Fine. We have also done some problems already. We have discussed some examination problems as well. Come to question number 5 now. Till 4 we have discussed, guys, in the previous video. Come to question number 5 or problem number 5. Yeah. State whether the following supplies would be treated as supply of goods or supply of services as per Schedule 2 of CGST Act. Means we need to just state whether the following activity is supply of goods or supply of services as per Schedule 2, guys. Clear? Yes, sir. Chalo. Let me read. Renting of immovable property. It is always what? Supply of services. Renting. Because only a right is given. Next. Goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed of by or under a direction of a person carrying on the business, whether or not for a consideration. It is transferred, disposed of. Clear? So what is it? Supply of goods, guys. So please be careful. If a business assets is put to use for personal purpose or private use, it will be supply of services. But here it is transferred or disposed of. Okay. Next, C. Transfer of right in goods without transfer of title in goods. So only right is transferred. So it is supply of services. Last one. Transfer of title in the goods. Again, title here. In the goods under an agreement which stipulates that property shall pass at a future date. Hire purchase example. So what is it? Supply of, supply of goods. Supply of goods. So this, whatever we answered was as per Schedule 2, guys. See, in the question, if they just ask you state, then only tell whether it is supply of goods or supply of services. If they ask you to explain with the reasons, then you should tell why it is a supply of goods or why it is a supply of services, at least in 1 or 2 lines. Clear, guys? Yes. So please be careful. Next one, examination question, December 19, which was asked for 5 marks. State whether the following are the supply of goods or services as per GST law with brief reasons. See, they're asking reasons also. So it was for 5 marks. There are 5 cases. For each case, 1 marks. You should tell whether it is a supply plus Y anta. Yeah. Chalo. One by one we will see individually. Mr. X availed an architectural services of his son, that is from the son, living in France. So it is import of service free of cost. So straight away go to para 4. For designing is residential building and factory layout. Mr. X availed architectural services of his son living in France free of cost. So it is not a supply. Clear? It is not a supply as per 7.1b also. It is not a supply as per para 4 also. Why? Because he is taking personal service. Para 4 will clearly tell in the course or furtherance of business only. So it is not at all a supply, guys. You can see the answer. In terms of section 7.1b of CGST Act 2017, import of service for a consideration whether or not in the course of or furtherance of business is a supply. Here, the services received by Mr. X is without consideration, thus not a supply. It is not a supply as per schedule 1 also, as the service is not received in the course or furtherance of business. So both the provision is not applicable here. Clear? Yes. Second scenario. Scrap of machinery destroyed by fire handed over to insurance company for settlement of claim. Okay, scrap of machinery which is destroyed by fire handed over to insurance company for settlement of claim. So where can be covered this one? Para 1, guys. Yeah, that is permanent disposal or permanent transfer. As per schedule 1 of CGST Act, permanent transfer or disposal of business assets where input tax credit has been availed on such asset is considered as supply. Even ITC point they have not clearly given. When the machinery destroyed by fire is handed over to insurance company in return for insurance compensation, it is a supply of goods. But be clear with one thing, only if ITC is availed. Only if ITC is availed on it. Okay, you can mention that point also, extra 1 point, while giving the answer. Next, third one, C. Lease of land for a two-wheeler parking stand. Lease of land. So it is like right is given. So is it a supply? Yes, supply of services. But they have just asked whether it is a supply or not. So stop it there only. So it is a supply, guys. So as per schedule 2 of CGST Act, any lease, tenancy, easement, license to occupy land is a supply of services. Thus, lease of land for a two-wheeler parking is a supply of service. Okay, it is a supply and supply of what? Services. Okay, mention that. Next, permitting use of registered patent for annual fee, intellectual property right. Is it a supply? Yes, supply of service. As per schedule 2 of CGST Act, temporary transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of intellectual property right is a supply of service. Hence, permitting use of registered patent or trademark shall amount to supply of service. And in the exam, you can underline this, guys, in the pencils. Means what is your ultimate answer? That one line or one word, underline it. Yeah, so that the evaluator will observe that. And make sure that you will give the explanation, please. Don't just tell, it is a supply. It is a supply of service anta. Please don't stop it there only. Because they have also asked the reasons. Please be careful with it. If you don't give the reasons, they will not give full marks. They will just end up giving 1 or 2 marks for your answer. Maximum 2 marks. E, last one. Transfer of tenancy right by executing and registering a document. So, transfer of tenancy right. Again, a supply of what? Service, guys. So, the activity of transfer of tenancy right is squarely covered under the scope of supply service in terms of section 7.1a. It is covered in 7.1a only. Some illustrative points are given there. Sale, exchange, barter and all. So one of the point is tenancy rights. However, renting of residential dwelling unit for use as a residence is exempt. Means if a building is let out for residential purpose, it is exempt, guys. I mentioned this point. Clear? If a building is let out for commercial or business purpose, it is taxable under GST. But if it is let out for residential purpose, it is exempt. Clear? Exemption topic we have not yet covered. It is given in section 11. We would be covering it at the end of this chapter, guys. Clear? Means after covering 8, 9, 10, we will see 11. Clear? Yes, sir. We have one more question, that is 7th one. Supply of all goods and or services is taxable under GST. Discuss the validity of the statement. Is it correct? No. Because supply of all the goods are not taxable under GST. Why? The given statement is wrong, because taxable supply is equal to, first we need to identify whether it is a supply as per section 7.1. Okay. From that we need to remove all the negative supply. We need to remove all the exempt supply. So negative supply is given in where? Schedule 3. Exempt supply is given in section 11. So if I remove these two things which are not taxable under GST, remaining things will be a taxable supply, guys. Clear? Yes, sir. So here we have come to an end of this class. So we'll stop it here. We have covered section 7 in detail, guys. So we'll stop it here. Please go through each and everything, whatever we have covered in detail. So I expect you guys to remember each and everything along with the section numbers, guys. So please do regularly study all these things. You will definitely be able to pass. The only way you can pass your exam is through regular studies, guys. Clear? So try to follow fundamental accounting assumptions in your preparations. Okay. If you want to clear your exams without any hurdles, without any difficulties, then you need to follow fundamental accounting assumptions, guys. Sir, what is fundamental accounting assumptions? There are 3. Which are those? Come on. Going concern, or first let me take accrual. Accrual. Next, what are the 3? Going concern, accrual. Let me write next going concern. Or let me write consistency first. Consistency. The third one is going concern. Okay, these are the 3 fundamental accounting assumptions. Okay, I want you guys also to follow this in your preparation. What are those? How do we follow? Accrual. As and when a provision or a chapter is covered in the class, you guys also should finish your studies, guys, from your end. So you guys make sure that you are also covering whatever has been covered in the class on the same days. Clear? Yes, sir. Next, coming to consistency. So there should be a consistency in your studies, guys. That is, if every day make sure that, okay, I will watch the videos for this many hours. Like from this time to this time, I will watch the videos. Remaining time, I will study whatever has been taught in that video. So fix a time and have the consistency every day. It's not like, okay, today I studied for 5 hours, tomorrow 1 hour, day after tomorrow 2 hours. No. There should be a consistency, guys. There should be an improvement every day, day after day, but there should not be like decreasing. There should not be a decrease in your performance. Fine. So there should be a consistency in your performance, guys. Clear? You should have the same josh which you had at the time of registering for your course, at the time of starting your classes in the first day, guys. Clear? Only then you will be able to clear the exams with good marks. Then the last one is going concern. So your studies, preparation, revision should go on till when? Till you clear your exams. Till you clear your exams. It's not like, okay, 1 day story, 7 day story, or 1 month story. It should go on. Your preparation should go on till your exams. Till your exams are completed, guys. Fine? Sure. If you can follow these 3 things, definitely you will be able to pass your exams with very good marks, guys. I will assure you that. Clear? So whatever is required for you to prepare for the exams, I am trying to do everything in the class. I am discussing each and every provisions in detail, and also we are discussing the illustrations and the problems. Some problems for practice sake, some problems I have also taken which are asked in the past exams, so that you will have an idea, okay, how the questions are asked in the exams. So it will also help your preparations. Clear? So all the things, and also revision notes, each and everything we are trying to provide it for you guys. So make the best use of everything and prepare for your exams, guys. So we'll stop it here. We'll continue in the next video with section 8, guys. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Take care.